This is JCU Conversations, a podcast show from James Cook University, Singapore. Tune in as we ask experts in the industry more about their lives and their approach to success. Subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Let's listen to today's episode.
Hi, I'm Dr. Lucy Tan, Associate Professor of Clinical Psychology at James Cook University, Singapore. In today's episode, I'm joined by my colleague, Dr. Victor Wong, lecturer of clinical psychology and manager at our psychology clinic on campus. Dr. Wong has dedicated nearly 15 years of mental health practice and education in Singapore. Formerly, he was the deputy clinical head of a leading private clinic where he oversaw daily clinical operations and providing evidence-based psychotherapy to clients across diverse age groups and presenting concerns. Beyond clinical work, he has delivered corporate mental wellness seminars to major multinational organizations and advised on employee well-being initiatives and entitlements. Prior to his postgraduate training, Dr. Wong served as a school counselor with Singapore's Ministry of Education. Hi, Victor.
Hi,
welcome.
Nancy.
Yes, it's
Thanks.
great to have you on board today.
Thanks for having me on the show.
Yeah, I'm excited. For the audience, not many people would know that there's a psychology clinic based on university campus. And I wonder if you'd be able to explain what your role is in the clinic, what kind of services are provided, and who would actually access.
Okay. So most of the universities in Singapore that have a Masters of Clinical Psych program will probably have a psychology clinic in there as well, because the main point of the clinic is for the students to be able to train there, to learn their baby steps on how to be a clinician. And by the same time, at a place where you have professionals who are your lecturers, your supervisors, kind of anchoring the clinic, make sure that they run the whole clinic quite well. In the JCU Psychology Clinic, my role there is kind of like I see myself like the anchor over there. All right. The students run the clinic, they do their own intake, they do their own communication with the clients, arranging their schedules and all that. And I'm there to make sure that when they are seeing clients and they have any issues, they will be able to come to me for help. A large part of my role there is actually supervising them, ensuring that what they deliver is going to be evidence-based, it's going to be within the ethical codes in Singapore, and learning how to really become a clinician, I guess. Yeah, in a really safe environment. Because even if I'm there are actually other lecturers around as well within the clinic who are all seasoned clinicians. Yeah.
And what kind of services would be provided?
Right.
Yeah.
So the psychology clinic at JCU is kind of situated itself as a community mental health clinic, which means anyone can access the services there, whether is it psychoeducational assessments or psychotherapy or even just consultations on your mental health, right? Stress-related, anxiety-related stuff. So it's meant to serve the community in Singapore. Anyone can come in here, and we will do our best to provide the services as any mental health clinic would.
Right. It sounds like a challenging practice to manage the operations.
It can be. Sometimes it is a little bit challenging because on the days where it's really busy, just so many things happening. Lots of students and lots of clients, that calls coming in, which pretty much mirrors how a private clinic would actually work on a busy day, which is good because that's how we want the students to learn.
Yeah.
This is how mental health practice is like. There's no allusions to too many safety nets. No, this is really the deep end. This is how it functions.
Yeah.
At best is seeing the lecturers and supervisors are just kind of like there to keep things going well. If anything was to happen and if there's some crisis or something like that, and sometimes the students might space out because they have no idea what to do. They would just run into my office like, Dr. Victor, I don't know what to do. Okay, take a breath, calm down, right? Let's think this through. And a lot of my work is actually helping them reach those decisions as well, because I don't want to give them too much help.
Yeah.
Right? They are also at a level that they should be making decisions as ethical clinicians as well. So yeah, that's how I pretty much anchor the clinic.
Yeah. It's a big task, isn't it, to manage students' own psychological state, the clients that they're seeing,
Yeah.
and the operations of a clinic based in
Quite
an
right.
institution. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. There's lots of talk these days about mental health in the public arena. And I wonder if you have witnessed a significant change in people's awareness, and whether, this raised awareness has resulted in a change and a reduction in stigma.
I think that over the last decade or so, and specifically within the last maybe 5-6 years or so, so around the time where COVID happened and the resulting impact of that, I think there was a lot of conversations about mental wellness, and there were a lot of articles out there, people talking about how to take care of yourself in the isolation, or even just things boiling over because of the really close quarters of being together. And I think all of that has actually normalized the conversation quite a bit. So over the last 5 years, I've definitely seen a increase in clients coming in, just being more ready to talk, being more ready to share, and very ready to almost recommend mental health services to their friends, their families. And this goes for men as well as women. I've seen quite a fair bit of men actually coming in. But to really answer the question, yes, I think that there's really been a reduction in the stigma, and people are more likely to talk about mental health stuff. That being said, depending on who you talk to, or depending which institutions or people that you engage with, there's always still a little bit of that stigma there. But I think there's generally just a growing progress in the normalization of just talking about your mental wellness.
Yeah.
Right. I had a client that did mention something was quite interesting. She said that before, when she told her friends or her family that she was seeking therapeutic help, they would go with the and it's like, the conversation kind of stops there. Like, okay, let's not go there. It's too taboo. Let's not ask any more questions past the But then later on, she's realized that as she just continued being okay with sharing, it became more like, what you learned from therapists, what was helpful, we want to recommend a therapist. So she's also seen that, and when I heard that, I think it was kind of heartening to hear that the landscape in Singapore is kind of changing a little bit.
Yeah. You raised the issue about gender and men accessing more psychological assistance. Traditionally there's this image of masculinity.
Absolutely.
And has this changed somewhat? And are there any more things that we could do to enhance this attitudinal change?
You're right. There's definitely that uptake, but the stigma still remains quite firm. All right. I guess it really depends on where men access their services as well, and where they learn the normalization of that conversation about their mental wellness.
Yeah.
A lot of the men I saw came from a specific organization where mental wellness was just really normalized. Right, their leaders talked about it, their staff talked about it, even all the way up to like directors and CEOs talk about it. So it was just really normal to talk about it, which meant I actually got a lot of referrals from that particular organization.
Right.
From the organizations that are a little bit more entrenched in their old beliefs, I got a little less. So which kind of shows that, okay, there's a bit of a skewed perspective for it. But in general, I think men still kind of feel a little bit of that stigma. Traditionally seen as the silent problem solver, the one where everyone goes to for help, right? And then where do they go for help? And they kind of put themselves in a place that I need to fix this myself, which is really tough, because more often than not, you end up with a lot of experiences of just a lot of self-blame and a lot of anger towards the self as well. But really, men do communicate quite, I would say, a bit sideways, right? We communicate better when it's less formal. Okay, if it's just sitting down with a beer with friends, or playing a game, or even just doing something hobby related. So basically, it's not the central focus of the activity. Not like therapy. Therapy, the central focus would be speaking.
Right.
But if that is not the central focus, I think men tend to feel a lot more relaxed and are able to open up a little.
Yeah.
which is why their social support tends to be a massive protective factor for them. So when I approach therapy with men, I try to come in a really relaxed format.
Yeah.
I won't come in the more typical
Yeah.
psych format. I'll just be really relaxed, like two men having a beer. Right, there won't be beer in the session, but I'll go really relaxed. I'll try not to use jargon. I'll try not to use technical words and stuff like this. Just try to make it really relaxed for them. And more often than not, they'll just kind of engage. They're more likely to share.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So yes, I think there's improvement. And there's a lot of it, but we still need to kind of normalize a lot more of the help seeking for men, and to ensure that it's absolutely okay to talk about their mental wellness. And maybe an additional thing is when they do kind of show that vulnerability, because they're so traditionally held up, to hold it in, but every now and then they do kind of want that connection, and when they do, to be really open and sensitive at that period of time. Because if they're kind of punished for it, like, oh, like that's a small thing, or you're just very dismissive, they'll immediately close up, and what they learn is to never share.
Yeah.
So that becomes more of a circular issue already. So really, it's kind of built of that mindset, and I believe that things are changing over time.
Yeah. So, having a positive mindset, being open, and so the environment helps, right?
Precisely.
Yeah. So I'm wondering, are there more avenues and policies in place, and what else could we do to reduce the stigmatization in a more systemic level, like in institutions and in big companies, and you worked in multinational companies. So what kind of learnings can you share on that?
I think in terms of the institutions, whether it's a multinational institution or even an academic institution, we consider the people in an elevated position, managers, supervisors, lecturers, teachers, right, to be a little bit more, I guess, aware and sensitive to changes in mental states, right? Being a little bit more able to pick up when patterns are different. For example, if you have a employee that comes in and is generally a very talkative and open person, and he suddenly comes back in like a day or a couple of days later, and he's just, hey, why is he so quiet? He's a little bit more engaged. He's actually isolating himself a little bit more. What's happening there? And to actually actively approach, like, hey, I saw that something may be happening. Is that okay? And if they are ready to share, maybe they will share. But anyway, it's okay to just kind of pop in, drop that, hey, if you want to talk about it, it's okay, no worries. And the more you do that, the more it kind of normalizes, again, that particular sentence I keep using, normalizing that conversation across all the levels. But yeah, it requires a little bit of that sensitivity for people in a little bit of an elevated position. Just kind of take note, right? Whether it's a behavioral observation or just the way their tones may be different, the way they share things may be a little bit different. How they even look as well. In the clinical space, we call that the mental status examination, right? So just kind of observing, right? Are they a little bit more disheveled, or is their hygiene dropping? You see like red eyes, or just dark eye bags, not getting enough sleep, or they're getting slurred a little bit, whatever's happening. So it's just little shifts in their patterns of behavior. And that's the one we want to be able to pick up on. And I guess we provide them with more training, provide leaders with more training, whether it's sensitivity training, empathic training, how to communicate things like this, and hold conversations with your staff or your students on what's happening and how we can help. Main thing really is for us to provide avenues to reduce these roadblocks. Not so much to make things easier for them to do the work, but to remove the other peripheral stuff so that they can focus on what they need to do, whether it's studies or works at the organization.
That's fascinating, isn't it? Because there's so much to do on the ground up, as well as policy and staff training and professional development. And in your daily operations as a psychology manager clinic, what kind of challenges would you face if you were to think back?
I think one of the major challenges is trying to manage your day when a crisis happens.
Right.
Right. So at the private clinic, we have this thing called the critical incident stress management.
Uh-huh.
So that's where like something terrible has happened somewhere and they need some immediate psychological help. And that can be extremely disruptive because your day is kind of packed with clients to see already. So when that comes in, it kind of really is very disruptive and can be really challenging. At the site clinic now, I think one of the challenges is to actually manage the students when they reach difficulties. Right? They themselves, I mean, they are very human as well. So they tend to spiral a little every now and then, get that in their own headspace, what to do, what not to do. What am I supposed to do? And to really provide that stability for them, like almost not necessarily seeing them as clients, but also seeing them as human beings going through a kind of a little bit of a crisis. So same thing, right? Okay, let's calm down. Let's take a deep breath first. Sometimes I'll even okay, just breathe with me. All right, just breathe with me. All right, let's get down to what do you know. All right, and where are the areas that you need to do better in, or what do we need to do to help this person, this individual? So it's, I guess one of my biggest challenge would be like when things just kind of come in from left field.
Right. Yeah. That can be quite stressful.
It is.
Yeah. And in speaking of stress, there's research that talks about 1 in 7, depending which pieces of report you go to. Some say it's 1 in 4, some say it's 1 in 7 young people experience mental health problems. And bearing in mind that kind of high statistic, plus the fact that we are in an academic institution full of young people, what might you say we could help in this sphere?
Oh, that's a challenging one. I think a lot of times the stresses come from either not knowing what you need to do or how to get there, and the amount of deadlines that kind of comes in together. And I know that at JCU, we do have a lot of that support for them to ensure that they are able to, I guess, follow a certain schedule to get through, know when you're supposed to get at a particular assignment, not wait till all of it crunches at the last minute, because that's usually where the breaking point happens. At this level, we are looking at the tertiary education. I think a lot rides on their assignments and things like this, and the expectation to really perform. And if they are not able to have very good like scheduling for themselves, just understanding their needs, right? If you take longer to write an assignment, then please start earlier. Right, knowing that. And I think JCU does provide a lot of that support for many of the students as well. Yeah. But perhaps also lecturers can also help provide. And I do know that there are quite a few lecturers that actually do that. Just give them a bit of a timeline, like you should start your assignment somewhere here. You should not be starting it somewhere here, because before you know it, the other module has another thing there. Yes. So I guess it's an ongoing process to really help them. Yeah. But just kind of popping back to that previous question is, if there are lecturers or teachers or supervisors who are just aware, okay, to have a conversation immediately, like, hey, what's happening? Are you feeling a little bit too overwhelmed, too stressful? What can we do to help? Yeah. So being sensitive and provide that scaffolding to the students. Yeah. Everybody learns differently. Yeah. And, we also know and glean from research that being outdoors with nature and having positive connections to hobbies or interests helps. And they are such a mood boosters, right? So I'm aware that you have a passion for a certain kind of hobby. And I wonder if you'd like to share this. Okay. So there are two main hobbies that I do enjoy a lot. The one pertaining to nature would be keeping freshwater aquariums. Oh. So I started around February this year or so. And fortunately or unfortunately, I have 5 fish tanks at home right now. Oh my goodness. Where'd you find the space? So I have a main tank in my house, and then I have like 4 tanks just outside my door. So I'm kind of using a little bit of the extra space there. But I guess I have no idea when it all really clicked. But around February, my kid came back with like a little fish And she's like, oh, we need to keep this fish. And I'm like, okay, let's keep it. And then it just kind of grew from there. Like, so let's not keep it in a small thing, let's keep it in a big and it just kind of grew from there. And it really became such an enjoyable experience. And I guess it's also very much rooted in science, right? Freshwater aquariums, very much science related. How you build that ecosystem, how you stabilize it, how do you ensure that the fishes are healthy within within the ecosystem. I usually have a lot of real plants in there, so aquatic plants in there to ensure that the entire cycle, the ecosystem is established for them. And it's been a bit of a passion actually. And I would say that there is psychology, and then there's a little bit of like freshwater ecosystems. So it's gone beyond just aquariums actually. So I've started reading up on like, I guess, more academic journals. Like real freshwater ecosystems, what the academics are studying, what the few researchers are doing.
Wow.
And being in this university where it's one of our leading research areas, is so exciting.
Right. Yeah. Have you had a chance to speak with all the other aquaculture
No, not yet.
team?
Not yet. I'm really looking
yeah.
forward to it. And there's a part of my brain that's like, okay, how can we kind of marry these two parts of myself together? Like clinical side and I guess freshwater ecosystems. Yeah.
Right.
And so the second is actually horror. I really enjoy horror media.
Wow.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Oh, okay. So I really enjoy watching horror movies. It doesn't matter which region it's from, what language it's in. I just really enjoy it. If I guess to choose a particular favorite would be kind of like that late 90s, early 2000s Japanese horror. It was like, I guess that's kind of like the golden era. And there were just so many good movies from there. So I really love it. So movie-wise, there's that. And then media-wise, I other stuff, I read books. I read a lot of horror-related books. And one of my favorite authors is like H.P. Lovecraft. So he engages in cosmic horror, which is, I guess it kind of ties a little to clinical side, which is that because cosmic horror is about that fear of ambiguity, of chaos, of things that you cannot understand, right? And honestly, that's actually a lot of what we do in real life. We are very afraid of things we cannot control, that we don't understand, and that causes us a lot of anxiety. So I'm like, okay, there's that little bit that kind of fits together. But yeah, right. Love horror movies. Anybody have recommendations, please? It's okay. You can reach out to me. If you have any recommendations, reach me as well.
So on that note, if people were to ask you how you see yourself, your past self, and if you're, what kind of advice would you give yourself if you're 21 years?
That's that time travel question.
Yeah.
Right? Honestly, I think if I was younger, I've answered this question a little bit differently. But right now, I would not do anything. If I was to travel back in time and see myself at a 21-year-old, all I'll do is just sit and observe. And just appreciate, like, okay, this dude's going to go through a lot. Right?
Yeah.
But I feel like all those trials, tribulations, successes, failures, achievements, people I've met, people from all walks of life, it's all built me to where I am right now. And I guess I would do nothing differently.
Right.
Yeah.
You sound very at peace and zen.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah. And on that note, if somebody would like to get in touch with you, how would they contact you?
Okay. So I'm at a psychology clinic. You can always find me there. If it's socials online, I guess the only place is LinkedIn.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. It's been a pleasure today having
Thank
you
you,
on.
Lucy. It's been a pleasure as well.
Thank you.